All right. Good evening, USA, International, Canada, Long Island, aka Strong Island, the tri state areas of New Jersey, Connecticut, plus the five spots of Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, and Queens. This is your man and homie G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator. Rhymes with now or later. Your host with the most, missing the still lonely nomad, unstoppable independent podcaster, creator, YouTuber, and Queens, New York native who is also a New York Giants and New York Mets fan from the neck of the woods of Laurelton, Queens, New York. And yes, you are now rocking with me by listening, tuning in, streaming, and watching the 113th episode of the Sports Edition Show. Excellent, fun, vibrant talks podcast. And we are days into the new year of 2026. I hope y'all had a great New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and everything else in between. And yeah, we're live and direct from StreamYard alongside with YouTube from the comfort of my room where I do my podcast recordings and look for topics while surfing the internet and all that great stuff right there. And this is the spot to talk about things in baseball news, such as the New York Mets, basketball news, including the New York Knicks, which I'm starting to cover, and of course, a little bit of the Brooklyn Nets, and of course, the New York Giants season is over. I'm gonna do a little recap of a person who got fired, actually. So I got a lineup for top four sports topics for you today. All right. First things first, make sure you click on that subscribe button on the sports YouTube channel page. Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast. Alongside with leaving a like, a comment in the comment section of YouTube in case you got some things you want to say about the topics in each episode. And of course, don't forget to share the Linktree link of the Linktree link that says Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks Pod to your husbands, your wives, your boyfriends, girlfriends, people you're cool with from work. And you can also download the episodes as well. You can also download the episodes as well. And also be sure to also leave a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and alongside with a review. The 5 stars in the review, in case anybody's new to this channel, it helps the show grow and it really helps content creators and hosts like myself to actually come up with new topics to talk about, whether it's baseball news, whether it's basketball news, maybe a little bit of maybe a little bit of college basketball. I'm not too sure if I'm going to cover it because I don't have a favorite college basketball team. Except for the St. John Storms. Um, so yeah, there you go, right there, man. And I want to cut to the chase to talk about the firing of Shane Bowen. Now, this is going to be the first topic to talk about in our quick side bleacher bar segment right here. Here we go. If you're new to the channel and you don't know what the quick side bleacher bar is about, this is basically talking about um the things that's trending as far as like the New York Giants, the New York Knicks, the New York Mets. As far as the off season goes, there hasn't been any news whatsoever, and and of course I get to actually, share my opinions in terms of each topic. If I have anything to say on certain sports topics, then I'll talk about it. But yeah, let's get into the firing of Shane Bowen. One second as I look for. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right, let's get into this right here. So, let me see. So, Giants interim coach Mike Kafka has made his first big staff move as the team has fired defensive coordinator Shane Bowen, NFL Network's Ian Rappaport, and uh, Garaf- Mike Garafolo reported on Monday morning. Outside linebackers coach Charlie Bullen will serve as the interim defensive coordinator, NFL insider Jacina Anderson reported. This decision comes after the Giants blew a lead against the Lions on Sunday, then lost in overtime 34 to 27. New York officially became the first team eliminated from playoff contention. Playoff contention as it sits with a 2-10 record. Actually, they're like 2-13, I believe. Sunday's blown loss wasn't the first this season. The Giants have blown five fourth quarter leads of 10 points or more just this season, which is tied for the record of the most in the season. ESPN's Field Yates reported. Here's a look at all those disastrous finishes. Yeah. Of course, somebody posted it on BetMGM on X. So hold on a second here. Actually, no. Hold on a second here. Actually, through 12 games, the Giants ranked 32nd in total defense, 32nd against the run game, 31st in scoring defense, and 27th against the pass, some of the worst defensive stats in the league. This is crazy. This is fucking insane. And I gotta feel for New York Giants fans, including content creators who actually cover the New York Giants, especially podcasters like your Locked On New York Giants podcast and the Giants Squad Show. Shout outs to them for covering it. Yeah, y'all can check them out too. right. Through 12 games, the Giants ranked 32nd in total defense, 32nd against the run game, 31st in scoring defense, and 27th against the pass. Some of the worst defensive stats in the league. This was Bowen's second season in New York after he was hired by now fired head coach Brian DeBall. He spent 3 seasons prior as the Titans defensive coordinator. Kafka explains why it was the right time to fire Bowen. After 2 games as interim coach, both of which were close, tough losses for the Giants, Kafka made the decision on his hands to fire Bowen. After Sunday's loss, Kafka was originally confident in Bowman's ability to work as the defensive coordinator, but he changed his mind following his review of the tape. End quote. When I got the job, I didn't want to make a lot of rash decisions and jump to anything really quick, Kafka said. I wanted to have some time to sit back, evaluate, look at it, and kind of figure out what the best thing to do was. Wanted wanted to be calculated in how I handled it, and I thought today was the right time. The results just weren't what we wanted them to be. Let's see. On the flip side, Kafka said he has he has a lot of confidence in Bolin's ability to rally the defense moving forward this season. Well, yeah, I don't know about that one right there. But let's see. Let me see. Is there anything else Giants related to talk about? Let's see. Hmm. Let me see something here. Okay, let's get into some basketball news involving one of the basketball teams possibly um moving to Las Vegas. Let's get into this. According to Sportsnot, the NBA bringing back the Seattle Supersonics and creating a new team in Las Vegas is very possible. However, a league insider has revealed the one thing that could kill the addition of those franchises. Expansion is a conversation for almost every sports league in the world, and the NBA is no different. More teams can mean more content and potentially more money. It is also a chance for the league to expand its fan base even further. Over the last few years, the idea of expansion has been a hot topic, with two specific cities seeming like very heavy favorites to get a franchise. The first is Seattle. It was home for the Supersonics for 40 years, and their departure to Oklahoma City in 2008 is still viewed as a black mark on the league's reputation. The other town likely to get a team is Las Vegas. After decades of concerns about sports betting making a pro team in Vegas impossible, leagues getting in bed with various gambling platforms has completely changed that narrative. Now the city is home to the relocated Las Vegas Raiders and eventually the Athletics, as well as the first pro team in the 702, the Vegas Golden Knights. Earlier this week, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver claimed that a final decision on whether the league will expand will officially come early next year, which is this year actually. It it has reignited speculation that after years of rumors, pro basketball will soon be Seattle and Las Vegas, or maybe not. NBA revenue sharing could be hurdle in Seattle Supersonics' return. In a new report on the possibility of NBA expansion, the Athletics' Zach Harper offered up a detailed explanation of the one thing that could stop the return of the Supersonics and the creation of a team in Sin City. According to the NBA Insider, it all boils down to money. Expanding to 32 teams would mean splitting the revenue sharing pot even more. And the league's current 30 owners may not be thrilled about that possibility. We just don't know if the current owners believe that offsets the annual dilution. Hold up. Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Um Apparently, yeah, sorry about that. That was the knock from my mother, actually. But you know, let me see. Where was I? Where was I? Yeah, we just don't know if the current owners believe that offsets the annual dilution of their revenue. Maybe it seems like dumb economics or greed to not share with this wealth. But sometimes that's strictly the motivation, Harper wrote. He did suggest that a way to balance the lost money could be to increase the fees that those new franchises have to pay to join the NBA. NBA teams have been sold for some massive amounts in recent years, including the Boston Celtics for $6.1 billion and the Los Angeles Lakers for a record-breaking $10 billion. That's interesting. That's interesting. While annoying it does make sense if those new owners don't want to lose a portion of the hundreds of millions they are guaranteed to get in revenue sharing, and would likely use toward recouping money from their huge purchases. Okay. All right. Anything else to talk? Oh, there's some more basketball news to talk about. Yes. All right. So the rebuilding Brooklyn Nets have a prime opportunity to trade a young star in Cam Thomas to accrue more future assets. The problem is that no one is biting yet. Brian Lewis of the New York Post reports that while the Nets are expected to gouge the market for the 24-year-old guard, there simply isn't a market that currently exists for him. A split has been in the cards for some time now. Thomas rejected a 2-year, $30 million contract before turning down a 1-year, $99.5 million deal that could, that also included the waiving of his no trade clause. A new contract would help further maximize Brooklyn's return. Instead, Thomas is on a 1-year, $6 million deal that makes him a free agent this upcoming summer. Okay. Okay. Additionally, a high volume scorer with injury issues and one in a one-dimensional game that lacks much punch on the glass or on defense is not the most attractive of sells either. Regardless, Thomas can score, and teams on the cusp on the cusp of contention in need of an offensive punch that on a punch could be inclined to take a flyer. In 8 games this season, he is averaging 21.4 points per game in 28.3 minutes. Shipping Thomas out of town would allow the Nets to focus more on developing some of their younger pieces to work alongside their leading scorer, Michael Porter Jr., and big man Nick Claxton, rookie Igor Demon, Noah Clowney, and Terrence Mann would all factor into an influx of playing time that would become available. There is plenty of time for a market to develop for Thomas. The NBA trade deadline is not until February 5th, where emerging contenders and potential injuries to key players could catapult the Nets guard toward the top of some wish lists around the league. And this is according to AMNY. And and of course there's more to the Brooklyn news thing. Um 20 games into the season, the Brooklyn Nets are right where many expected them to be, sitting at 4-16 and positioned for what will likely be a top 5 pick in a loaded upcoming draft. The development of their young players will be the primary focus moving forward. The Nets secured their first home win of the season on Monday night, defeating the Charlotte Hornets 116 to 103. Michael Porter Jr. continued his career yet, pouring in 35 points on 7 of 11 shooting from 3. Brooklyn's 4 rookies were a major bright spot all night, each posting a positive plus minus, with Drake Powell leading the way. The lengthy guard scored 10 points, dished out 4 assists, and aided 3 steals. Danny Wolf also finished with 10 points, 7 rebounds, and a highlight reel dunk that had Barclays Center buzzing with oohs and ahs. Igor Demon and Ben Saraf combined for 16 points. One moment. All right, here's some key takeaways from all this from this game. So does Michael Porter Jr. have a long-term future in Brooklyn? After 27 years old and with 1.5 years of control left on his contract, could Porter Jr. have played himself into the Nets' future plans? Averaging 24.9 points, 7.3 rebounds, and 3.1 assists while shooting 48% from the field and 38% from beyond the arc. He could be a key contributor alongside the Nets' young core. On the other hand, could Sean Marks trade him at the deadline for a haul, allowing the team to bottom out and secure a top five pick? In a wide open Eastern Conference, the Pistons could look to surround Cade Cunningham with veteran scoring, and they have the draft capital and young talent that Brooklyn would want. Better off without Cam Thomas, but does he have any value? After missing 57 games with a hamstring injury last year, Thomas had Thomas has found himself sidelined yet again with hamstring troubles. He took a chance on himself by rejecting a 2-year deal with the Nets, accepting the qualifying offer, and entering free agency as an unrestricted free agent this upcoming summer. In the 8 games Thomas started this year, the 24-year-old guard showed no improvement in his playmaking or defensive game. And the Nets went winless with a 130 defensive rating. With Thomas on the floor, Brooklyn averaged just 21.9 assists per 100 possessions, dead last in the league. Without him, that number jumps to 26.8 assists per 100 possessions, which would which would tie for 11th in the NBA. The offensive numbers remain largely the same, which leads us into the next takeaway. When Thomas returns, what's his role? Playing him 30 minutes per game could hinder the development of the young guards who need playing time and the ball in their hands to grow. As of now, Thomas's trade value appears bleak. He'd be a ball dominant rental player with injury concerns. After once looking like a potential franchise cornerstone, trading him for minimal return would be a colossal failure. Young core looks promising after a turbulent start to the season, including ankle sprains and frequent trips between Long Island and Brooklyn. The rookies are finally starting to find their footing. Not only have the rookies shown promise, but Noah Clowney is taking a major leap in his third year campaign. Over his past 10 games, the former first round pick is averaging 16.7 points while shooting nearly 40% from three, highlighted by a career high 31-point performance in a loss to crosstown rivals, the Knicks, in Danny Wolf's first extended run of the season. He contributed 22 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. His basketball IQ, passing reads, and cutting ability have been extraordinary in the limited action he has received. Demon, excuse me, and Powell are showing glimpses of their true potential. With Powell's lockdown defense and Demon's sharpshooting making them look like rising stars in the borough of Brooklyn. In more basketball news, let's get into the trade rumor. Let's get into the trade rumor. So here's what's happening according to the folks from the Bleacher Report. Damn, man. New York Knicks fans hoping Dante DiVincenzo returns to the team will likely be disappointed by the February 5th trade deadline. Ian Ian Begley of SNY reported Wednesday. Damn it. Excuse me. Ian Begley of SNY reported Wednesday that while the Knicks would love to have the guard back on the roster, any possible trade is highly unlikely. So the Knicks would have to trade either Josh Hart or Mitchell Robinson to make a deal to make a deal work. Begley wrote. They aren't trading Hart. I don't see how they would trade Robinson. If they did trade him, it wouldn't make sense to get a non-big in return. Excuse me. D. Vincent Zoe was a member of the Knicks during the 2023 to 24 campaign and helped lead them to the second round of the playoffs before a Game 7 loss to the Indiana Pacers. Indiana Pacers. He was a key role player and averaged a career best 15.5 points per game that season. He also connected on a career best 40.1% of his three pointers while taking advantage of space created by opposing defenses collapsing on Jalen Brunson. However, New York traded DiVincenzo and Julius Randle to the Minnesota Timberwolves before the 2024 to 25 campaign in a deal that brought Carl Anthony Towns to the Big Apple. While DiVincenzo was an excellent role player, the opportunity to add a star like Towns to the front court was surely too enticing for the front office to pass. That DiVincenzo is on a playoff contender with the Timberwolves also makes a trade less likely. Minnesota surely doesn't want to give him up for draft assets like a rebuilding team would. And the Knicks likely aren't going to part with someone like Hart who could fill his role on the Timberwolves in the West the Western Conference playoff race. Um that is rather unfortunate for the Eastern Conference team though, as Bronson Towns, Mikael Bridges, and OG uh, Anunoby draw much of the defensive attention from opponents. That would create plenty of open looks from downtown for DiVincenzo, and he proved during his last stint in New York that he can take full advantage of those chances. But it doesn't seem like that is going to happen. Okay. Okay, let's see. Let's see what else. Um. Okay, so we do. I forgot to mention this actually. So, Doug Martin, a former All-Pro running back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, died in police custody early Saturday morning after an incident at a residence in Oakland, California. Police confirmed Monday. Oakland police reported that officers responded to a call about a break-in just after 4:15 a.m. Saturday and encountered Martin. Prior to his death, Martin was involved in a break-in at a residence in Oakland, according to a statement from the Oakland Police Department. While responding officers were attempting to detain him, a brief struggle occurred. After being taken into custody, Martin became unresponsive. Paramedics responded to the scene, provided medical aid, and transported Martin to a local hospital where he later died. Martin was 36. Athletics first reported which represented Martin when he was in the NFL issued a news release Monday night that said he battled mental health challenges that profoundly impacted his personal and professional life. As part of the release, the agency also said Martin's family sought to clarify the circumstances of his death. Doug's parents were actively seeking medical assistance for him and had contacted local authorities for support, authorities first said. Feeling overwhelmed and disoriented, Doug fled his home during the night and entered a neighbor's residence 2 doors down, where he was taken into custody by police. An investigation into what transpired as he was detained is underway. OPD said that, consistent with department policy, the in custody death is being investigated by the homicide section, OPD Internal Affairs Bureau, the Oakland City Police Commission, the Community Police Review Agency, and the Alameda County District Attorney's Office. Let's see. The Buccaneers, with whom Martin spent 6 of his 7 NFL seasons, called him a fan favorite who made a lasting impact on our franchise. He was selected one of the top 50 players in the franchise history as part of its 50-year anniversary celebration. Standing 5'9", Martin was known for his bruising style, earning him the nickname the Muscle Hamster, while amassing 5,356 yards and 30 touchdowns over his NFL career. A former Boise State star, he was a first-round pick of Tampa Bay in 2012 and immediately burst onto the scene, rushing for 1,454 yards and 11 touchdowns, and catching 49 passes for 472 yards and another score in his first season, which resulted in a Pro Bowl selection. At the time, he had the third most yards from scrimmage as a rookie in NFL history, trailing only Eric Dickerson, 2002-12 in 1984, and Edgerrin James, 2000 139 in 1999. Martin's best season came in his All Pro year in 2015 when he rushed for 1,402 yards and 6 touchdowns and had 33 catches for 271 yards and another score. He spent 2 more seasons in Tampa Bay after that, then finished his career in 2018 with the Raiders. A California native, Martin attended Boise State from 2007 to 2011, and he ranks in the top 10 for career rushing yards and rushing touchdowns at the school. He was a first team all conference honoree twice. Yeah. Yeah. So SIP to Doug Martin, former Buccaneer and Raiders for the NFL. All right. Wait a second. Hold on. Yeah, so the New York Giants, they're 3-13, play host to the Dallas Cowboys in their 2025 season finale at MetLife Stadium this Sunday afternoon. With a win, the Giants will best their 2024 win total by one, but will fall short of their preseason expectations. Before the season, prognosticators predicted the Giants' 2025 win total to be 5.5 wins. The logic was that they would improve slightly over last year's pathetic 3-14 campaign. Um, the Giants' win ceiling was 8 with a floor of 4 as per Cynthia Freeload of NFL.com with an over or under of 5.5. This defensive front is going to be fun to watch. Dexter Lawrence was double teamed on 63.8% of his pass rush snaps in 2024, which was the highest rate of any player with 200 plus pass rushes since at least 2018. Don't see that happening again in 2025. Not with Abdul Carter now roaming off the edge. The Giants have an uphill climb in terms of their top ranked strength of schedule, but this team forecast to be much more competitive than its final record might indicate. Yeah, yeah, that didn't happen. Lawrence never really got all the way back from the elbow injury that sidelined him for the final 5 games of 2024. He has been a shell of his former self this year. Carter didn't get fully going until the Giants dumped defensive coordinator Shane Bowen in late November. The Giants faced the toughest schedule in the NFL this year. And with all the injuries to key players like Malik Neighbors, Cam Scatterboo, Micah McFadden, and rookie quarterback, they could not get untracked. So that's just the results of the Giants season, final season. And this is from Giants Wire in case, yeah, Giants Wire point USA Today.com. Okay, so okay. So where do we go from here? All right, all right, let's go to some baseball news from Clutch Points. All right, so the New York Mets have been a story of the offseason, to say the very least. They traded away Brendan Nemo and Jeff McNeil while losing Pete Alonso and Edwin Diaz in free agency, which I talked about in a previous episode ago in episode 1. No, hold on. in a previous episode. I think it was either 111 or 112. Yeah, I could check out either one. Um, after another September collapse, David Stearns is shaking up the core. The Athletics, Ken Rosenthal and Will Sammons say that Alex Bregman and Bo Bichette may not be the perfect fits for the Mets. The Mets hold interest in adding a right-handed batter to balance out their lineup. People familiar with their conversation said that could end up being someone who can play first base. The club needs to make a decision on whether such a player is better than Mark Vientos. More likely, they would find that player in a trade than free agency. The report reads. Alex Bregman and Bo Bichette are the best right-handed batting free agents, but likely will command more years than the Mets want to tolerate. Also on Tuesday, New York Post insider John Heyman is interested in a righty outfielder available in free agency. Mets have discussed Austin Hayes. I highly doubt that internally and have some interest. Had very nice year in Cincy. Um, his OPS is 768. The righty hitting outfielder is among potential fits. Bregman opted out of his contract after the first year of the deal with the Boston Red Sox. He made his name winning 2 World Series with the Houston Astros and had a strong first half in Beantown. Beantown. But the Mets have shown an aversion to signing long term deals this year. Bregman, after taking a gamble last offseason, will be looking for security. Bichette is more likely to sign the opt out heavy deal than Bregman. He is younger and is coming off an injury that kept him out of the first 2 playoff rounds. The Mets could offer it to him to play third base, even though that is a crowded position between Mark Vientos and Brett Beatty. Many reports indicated that Bichette would be willing to move positions with a new team. That would be a necessity if he went to the Mets, as Francisco Lindor has shortstop locked down in Queens. The Mets have a lot of adding to do, both in the lineup and in the rotation. Will they get enough done before the season begins? Good question. That's a good question. And speaking of which, speaking of which, the, let me see. Hold on. Hold on 1 second. Speaking of Alex Bregman, he got traded to the Chicago Cubs, according to Sports Illustrated. Let's take a look here. On Saturday night, the hopes of Alex Bregman signing with the Arizona Diamondbacks were officially squashed. Um, yes, as the veteran third baseman a 5-year, $175 million deal with the Chicago Cubs per multiple reports. Third baseman Alex Bregman and the Chicago Cubs are in agreement on a 5-year, $175 million contract, sources tell ESPN. 1 year after their failed pursuit of Bregman in free agency, the Cubs land one of the biggest bats of the winter. Arizona had been one of the teams most heavily linked to the 3-time All Star, but even through those rumors, the situation appeared to be dependent on whether or not the D backs would elect to trade superstar second baseman Ketel Marte to free up payroll. Marte was ultimately pulled from the trade block. And while that reportedly did not eliminate the D backs from the Bregman sweepstakes, it did lower Arizona's chances by a significant margin. It did seem initially as if the D backs had a leg up on potentially landing Bregman. As a as a recent report from Arizona Sports 98.7's Dan Bickley said, Bregman was hoping to sign with Arizona and play at home and was willing to offer the D-backs a discount to do so. But even with a substantial discount, it seemed relatively unrealistic to expect Arizona to commit 100 excuse me, 100 plus $100 million in payroll to an aging star in Bregman, especially if it meant parting with a more productive player in Marte. Bregman is still an excellent hitter and a plus defender at third base and is considered an extremely desirable clubhouse presence. No doubt his addition would have benefited the D backs, but for a team that is already somewhat tight for payroll, making that type of commitment to Bregman would have likely been ill advised. Arizona does still need some lineup help, but will turn their attention to potentially landing a righty hitting first baseman or a DH option. Rather than spending top dollar for a third baseman, the D backs also desperately need relief pitching and have limited budget with which to make all of these additions. The Cubs will certainly be adding a quality player in their lineup, one that is worthy of a contract, excuse me, a large contract to be exact. But for where the D backs are at in this offseason, it makes the most sense to focus their resources elsewhere. And with that, the two most substantial rumors relating to the Diamondbacks this offseason, Marte and Bregman, have been resolved in the span of less than 36 hours. D-backs fans can move on from both. Okay. Okay, let's see. Let me see. Oh, I forgot to do this one actually. Um, the New York Giants 2025 campaign is mercifully nearing its end, but the effects of this catastrophe will linger in the minds of suffering fans. The disappointment this franchise has inflicted on the Meadowlands does not end with a 9-game losing streak rife with implosions and baffling decisions. The misery also encompasses several recurring narratives that have tested the faith of even the most devout Big Blue worshippers. On field failures beget bad optics and endless speculation, which only further drains the fan base. Uh, Quarterback Jackson Dart's reckless running style. Giants rookie quarterback Jackson Dart is one of the reasons there is an iota of optimism surrounding the team entering the offseason. However, he also did his part to raise um, stress levels during the year. The former Ali Miss Signal caller arrived in town with abundant confidence and infectious energy that immediately intrigued people. He gained even more supporters when he took the field, impressing the masses with his fighting spirit and striking mobility. There is a downside to those traits. However, Dart went full throttle in his first several starts, more than more often than is recommended. When it was prudent to slide, he decided to keep running in an attempt to turn a solid gain into a huge play. Excessive ambition can humble a quarterback really quickly in the NFL. Unfortunately, the 22-year-old took some additional time to learn that lesson. He sustained a concussion and was sent to the Blue medical tent for evaluation on 5 occasions. The most jarring example of his impetuous, impetuous Russian style came in a 33-15 loss versus the New England Patriots in Week 13. After breaking loose on 2nd and 13, Dart opted to chase the first down marker instead of wisely stepping out of bounds. He was subsequently greeted with a thunderous hit from linebacker Christian Ellis. The first team all sex selection compounded concerns by insisting he will remain aggressive. Dart's intensely bright competitive fire is commendable, but he will not enjoy a long and prosperous career unless he becomes more self aware. Although the issue has been less prominent over the last couple of weeks, it will likely remain a topic of conversation heading into his second season. Um, New York Giants kicking trouble, so the storyline is also cooling off a bit, but it was a source of great frustration too many times in 2025. New York's inability to find a kicker who was either healthy or reliable has resulted in several losses in recent years. Veteran Graham Gano suffered a groin injury in pregame warmups in week 3 and was subsequently placed on injured reserve. He then went back on the IR in November after undergoing surgery for a herniated disc in his neck. The former Pro Bowler is still under contract through next season, but he may have attempted his last kick for Big Blue. Gano's replacement options produced their fair share of fury as well. Jude Mac 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 at Tomney was a questionable choice to thrust into a starting role, but the Giants trusted the backup regardless. He missed 3 extra points in a 2 game span, including 2 in the now infamous Week 7 collapse versus the Denver Broncos. Young Ho Koo weathered his own struggles. While he was an upgrade to Mech Tamney, excuse me. The longtime Atlanta Falcons kicker was part of a bizarre botched field goal attempt versus the Patriots and also missed 250-plus yard field goal attempts against the Washington Commanders. Um, New York's newest kicker, undrafted rookie Ben Sauls, has avoided disaster through his first two NFL games. He has connected on all four field goal attempts. An extra 5 points. Fans have witnessed too many special teams horrors to celebrate just yet. However, Dexter Lawrence's down year in body language, one of the few consistently impactful Giants, has drawn steady criticism throughout much of 2025, the 2025 campaign. Dexter Lawrence the second struggled to overcome extra attention from offensive linemen and wobbled on run defense. His demeanor was also a point of emphasis as many questioned his relationship with the organization. Franchise legend and radio color commentator Carl Banks called out the two-time second team All-Pro defensive tackle, arguing that opponents no longer respect Lawrence the way they did in the past seasons, whether it be because of his dislocated elbow from 2024 or another reason. Number 97 was not himself this season. Um, Lawrence does not even have a full sack and has just 14 solo tackles through 16 games. The Giants are hoping that that this season is just an anomaly and not a precursor to a possible decline. It would be egregious if management wasted his prime with one of the worst stretches in recent team history. Fortunately, the 28-year-old has been more productive of late. He has six total pressures, six tackles for loss, and five stops in his last three games combined. Hopefully, there will be no need to question Dexter Lawrence in 2026. The uncertainty surrounding New York Giants GM Joe Schoen's job security. Joe Schoen and Brian DeBall came over together from Orchard Park in 2022. And when the former head coach was fired during the season, many just assumed that the general manager would follow him out the door. That has not been the case, and Schoen's future with the team remains a hot topic of debate, with many fans wanting him sent packing. When the ball was fired, ownership announced that Schoen would lead the coaching search. However, the idea of him surviving back-to-back putrid campaigns unsettles much of the fan base. If he retains his job going into next season, it will be interesting to see how the dynamics between the GM and the next head coach unfold. Schoen presumably will not hire someone whose vision does not align with his own. And following a series of questionable roster decisions over the years, is that the recipe for a successful hire? The Giants must succeed in free agency and the 2026 NFL draft. Definitive progress should be demanded. People want clarity, and as of Monday, that should be coming one way or another. The porous run defense. The final storyline is both tiresome and critical for the team. Will probably not achieve a genuine breakthrough until it figures out how to stop the run. New York has excelled in that area in the last two games, but it boosts one of the worst run defenses in the league for a second straight year. Big Blue is allowing 145.4 rushing yards per game, which ranks 30th and is giving up a nauseating NFL worst 5.4 yards per carry. The Giants are also susceptible to big gains, having surrendered 17 runs of 20 plus yards, better than only the Cincinnati Bengals. They knew This was a major issue last offseason, and yet the unit is somehow even worse. Fans cannot bear to hear about the squad's leaky rushing defense any longer. Yes, Micah McFadden has missed nearly the entire campaign, but the organization cannot merely attribute the problem to bad luck. Swift changes are required moving forward. Bolstering run support is arguably one of the most important off-season tasks. Okay. Okay. Let's see. All right. So Dylan Ross, right? I touched on him briefly, actually. Hold on a second. Yeah, I touched on him briefly that he got traded to the Blue Jays, if I'm not mistaken, actually. And yeah. Hold on. Hold on one second. Okay, let's get into yeah. Yeah, he had two UCL surgeries. Yeah, let's yeah. Yeah, he had two UCL surgeries. I remember now. So I got this actually. So um hold on. Yes, so it's been a long journey for Mets prospect Dylan Ross. Ross was selected as a 13th round pick out of the University of Georgia in the 2022 draft, but he was forced to miss the entire 2023 campaign after undergoing Tommy John surgery and a revision procedure. He made his way back to the mound in 2024, but threw just one inning. The 2025 campaign has presented a huge bounce back opportunity for Ross, though, and he's emerged as one of the top relief arms in the system. After cruising his way through three different levels of the minors, he was officially recalled and has joined the Mets ahead of Saturday afternoon's contest with the Miami Marlins. I'm just taking it one. I'm just taking it one. I'm just taking it day by day. Excuse me, Ross said. Through rehab with two surgeries, you kind of just have to adapt that mentality. The rehab and the group we had down in the minors really helped me establish that mindset. Ross pitched to a 2.17 ERA with 80 strikeouts across um, 49 outings on the season. Now he's tasked with helping the Mets, who are still fighting for. Well, that didn't happen actually, so I'm not even going to revisit what happened when they actually lost the season. So teams usually look for a bit of a soft landing spot for youngsters to come in and make their big league debut, but with the club desperate for wins, Carlos Mendoza doesn't expect that opportunity to present itself. The 24-year-old isn't nervous about being thrown right into the fire, though. I guess all the moments are the same, he said. Just have to take it as another day, another outing. I've always tried to have the mindset of whether you are up 14 runs or a tie ball game and extras, just attack the excuse me, just attack the zone and attack everybody I can. I don't care who you are. I'm going to come after you and attack you. Okay. So that's Dylan's no, so that's hold on. So that's Dylan Ross. I got the name mixed up. My apologies. I got the name mixed up. I apologies, actually. Um, okay. All right, some free agents we gotta talk about here. Some free agents we gotta talk about here. But before I go into the free agents actually, so um let's get into a little bit of let's see. Okay, in other baseball news, Andy Pettit never accumulated the hardware that his Southpaw contemporaries like Randy Johnson, Tom Glavine, or CC Sabathia did. He was third in Rookie of the Year in 1995 and came as close as second in the Cy Young voting a year later when the upstart lefty helped lead a New York Yankees pitching staff to the 1996 World Series. His overall numbers are still worthy of getting a Hall of Fame nod, though, even if he did not have those singular awards. It is rare for a pitcher to have the kind of extended career Pettit had, logging over 3,000 innings and posting a 117 ERA plus. Despite his run as one of the most dependable arms the Yankees organization has developed, his association with the Mitchell Report has prevented his induction into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. While his numbers are up there with the great CC Sabathia, something insider Brian Hotch points out for MLB. This has given writers pause, as he puts it. Now, let's go with Andy Pettit's accolades. Now in his eighth year on the ballot, Pettit remains a long shot despite a modest uptick to 27.9% of the vote in 2025. His admission of human growth hormone use following his inclusion in the 2007 Mitchell Report has given voters pause. Brian Hotch writes, Sabathia's comparable resume, however, may prompt some to re-examine Pettit's case. Pettit went 256 to 153 with a 3.85 ERA and a 117 ERA plus across 531 games, which is 521 starts with the Yankees and Astros. Hodge then went on to write about Pettit's illustrious postseason resume. A few at the time accumulated more starts in October than Pettit. A durable left-hander during an era of inflated offense, Pettit saved his best work for October. He went 19 and 11 with a 3.81 ERA and 44 postseason starts, all but four with the Yankees. Those 19 wins remain a major league record. The Mitchell Report, Pettit was linked to the Mitchell Report back in 2007. According to the report, he used human growth hormones to recover from an elbow injury back in 2002. According to the report, he admitted to using HGH on two occasions. He said it was for healing, but he did not use it. He did not use steroids. Of course, Pettit was one of 85 players to be named in the Mitchell report. His teammate Roger Clemens was also on it. Brian McNabb, the trainer of both Pettit and Clemens, said he ejected him 2 to 4 times during his playing days. Okay. All right, let's see. Let me see. Um, let's take a look at CC Sabathia. CC Sabathia. Okay. All right. Highlighting CC Sabathia. All right. So, when Brian Cashman recruited CC Sabathia to play in New York prior to the 2009 season, he knew it would take more than just the promise of trying to win and a giant contract. I told him and Amber we would, we would make them comfortable in New York, Cashman said Sunday, just prior to Sabathia's induction speech. And quote, I looked him in the eye and threw a ton of money at him, but I knew he wasn't sure about playing in New York. I think we both fulfilled our promise. He became a Hall of Fame pitcher, and he and his family were just fine in New York. We both fulfilled our promise. If Sabathia's speech Sunday was any indication, Cashman's approach was the right one, since the big lefty spent nearly his entire 12-minute speech thanking the women in his life, from his wife to his mother Margie, both of whom were in attendance, to his grandmother and many aunts. While Sabathia noted that he'd shown his appreciation for his father, Corky, who died early in Sabathia's career, he went out of his way to tell stories about people he believed may have been overshadowed. From throwing grapefruits in his grandmother's backyard as a youngster, which is where Sabathia said he first realized I could throw hard. Sabathia consistently brought up the village of women who raised me, and a few times literally saved me. It was his mother, Sabathia said, who taught him to become a fan of the game and brought the native of Vallejo, California, to A's games at the Oakland Coliseum, where Sabathia watched the 1989 World Series winning team that included fellow Hall of Fame inductee Dave Parker, who died just a month before the ceremony. His father helped teach Sabathia the game, but Margie was a significant part of his growth as well. End quote. My mom loved the game too, Sabathia said. She'd put the catching gear on and catch me in the backyard. My mom is the reason I'm a baseball fan, and fans turn into players and who sometimes turn into Hall of Famers. Sabathia's path to Cooperstown began in Cleveland, where he spent the first 8+ seasons of his career after being a first round pick of the organization in 1998. And he solidified his status as an ace in 2008 after being traded to Milwaukee, where he consistently pitched on short rest to lead the Brewers to the postseason, even with free agency approaching. But it was in the Bronx where Sabathia cemented his Hall of Fame credentials, pitching the final 11 seasons of his career and leading the Yankees to the 2009 World Series title. End quote. We had a very high assessment of him as a pitcher, and that was obviously met even before he was a Hall of Famer, Cashman said. Cashman credited Sabathia for changing the culture of the team at the time. I thought we had, in some ways, a broken clubhouse, and he had a reputation as a connector, Cashman said. He made a fantastic impact. That impact continues today with his former teammates still citing Sabathia as an example for how they play. Prior to his IL stint, Aaron Judge said Sabathia's performance in 2019 when he pitched out of the bullpen in the postseason until his shoulder gave out is a reason why he puts his body at risk in the outfield. End quote. Watching him go out there hurt and then basically throw until his arm came off. You can't help but be motivated by that, Judge said of Sabathia, who entered Game 4 of the ALCS against the Astros while pitching with left shoulder soreness and walked off the mound with a, a sub a subluxation of his left shoulder. That last run was a great example, Judge said. He threw literally until he couldn't throw anymore. I'll never forget that. We didn't finish it that year, but he knew if we were gonna get there, it was gonna take all of your body and soul. And on Sunday, it landed Sabathia in the Hall of Fame. All right. Congratulations to CC Sabathia for being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Wow. Wow. Yeah. I want to make some noise for CC Sabathia. He accomplished some things on the field and off the field. So let's make some noise. All right. Let's see. Okay, some other baseball news. Let's see. The Yankees finally have a lefty in their bullpen again, and it was one that emerged to play a key role for them late last season. The club and Tim Hill agreed to a 1-year, $2.85 million contract on Tuesday. The Post, Joel Sherman and John Heyman reported, bringing back an important late inning arm to Aaron Boone's relief corps. The deal include a $2.5 million salary for 2025 and a $3 million club option or a $350,000 buyout for 2026. The veteran Hill signed with the Yankees last June at a time when their other lefty bullpen arms were struggling and quickly entered Boone's circle of trust. The side arming ground ball specialist pitched to a 2.05 ERA across 44 innings and 35 appearances during the regular season before allowing just one earned run in 8 and 1/3 postseason innings. Before reuniting with Hill, who also received interest from the Mets. Among other teams, the Yankees did not have a lefty in their bullpen, but now Hill is set to join Luke Weaver, who's signed with the Mets right now, Jake Cousins, Jonathan Loe Siga, Ian Hamilton, and Mark Leiter Jr. as high leverage options to form the bridge to new closer Devin Williams, who's also now a New York Met as well. The addition of Hill brings the Yankees' projected luxury tax payroll to $304.7 million per Cots contracts. Tim Hill, number 54 of the New York Post, the New York Yankees, is pulled from the game during the sixth inning. That is above the highest luxury tax threshold of $301 million, though the Yankees could still try to get under it by dealing Marcus Stroman and shedding at least some of his $18 million salary, with pitchers and catchers set to report to spring training. Yeah. Um, yeah, that part too, man. So yeah, there you go, right there. All right. So let me just go on to the next baseball topic here. All right, let's go to let's go to Antoan Richardson. Okay. Okay. So all right, so the New York Mets have already undergone some major changes this offseason, most notably with their coaching staff. On November 5th, it was announced that two members of their staff, Jeremy Hefner and Antoan Richardson, were joining their National League East rivals, the Atlanta Braves. Hefner is being hired as the team's pitching coach, the same position he held with the Mets. Richardson, who was New York's highly regarded first base coach, outfield coordinator, and base running instructor, will be taking over as the first base coach for the Braves. While the Mets decided to move on from Hefner and a host of other coaches right at the end of the regular season, Richardson was someone they had hoped to retain. Alas, a new deal didn't materialize, and he has since joined a rival organization. Difference in value was too much for the Mets Antoine Richardson to overcome. Why didn't Richardson return to the Mets, you ask? He revealed via Mike Puma of the New York Post that there was a difference in his values, specifically his salary. I had proposed I had a proposed salary with benefits included. The first base coach said, The Mets had a proposed salary with benefits included. We deferred on the salary part of it. Antoan Richardson told us he left the Mets for the Braves because of a difference in opinion over his value. I had a proposed salary with benefits included, he said. The Mets had a proposed salary with benefits included. We deferred on the salary part of it. According to Mets insider Andy Martino of SNY, who you may see from Baseball Night in New York, New York did try hard to bring Richardson back. However, there was no world in which they were going to be able to retain him. Richardson also addressed reports of him not wanting to be back with the Mets. Even when speaking to other teams, he kept the possibility open that he would return to New York to continue in the same role he has held. End quote. This narrative of me not wanting to be a Met, that's kind of bogus. Once I was allowed to speak with other teams, I remained open to a return to Queens until the end, while also focusing on finding an opportunity that was more in line with what I was looking for, Richardson said via Anthony DiComo of MLB.com on X. Once I was allowed to speak with other teams, I remained open to a return to Queens until the end, while also focusing on finding an opportunity that was more in line with what I was looking for. This is a huge loss for New York for several reasons. He was lauded for the work he did as the base running instructor, getting career seasons out of several players when it came to stolen bases. Juan Soto, never considered the most fleet-footed player, swiped a career high 38 bases, which led the National League. He was caught only 4 times, and a lot of credit should be given to Richardson for the aid he provided. This could become a major issue for the Mets because of the intimate knowledge that Richardson and Hefner have of the current roster as well. It is fair to assume that they can scheme up plans to neutralize players on the on the team more than most people. An invaluable tool for Atlanta to have heading to a 2026 campaign. The Braves are also in a similar position as the Mets as they look to get back on track after an underwhelming 2025 season. All right, let's see. Let me see. Let me see something here. So Brandon Sproat entered 2025 as the Mets' top pitching prospect and a top 100 prospect in baseball. He was drafted by New York twice, first in the third round in 2022, then again in the second round in 2023, after which he signed for $1.47 million. Sproat quickly demonstrated why the organization was so persistent in pursuing him. He breezed through high A and double A in 2024, finishing the season with a 3.40 ERA and 131 strikeouts across 116 one-third innings, earning accolades such as Eastern League Pitcher of the Year and a spot in the Futures game. However, when he reached AAA in late 2024, the climb took its toll. His strikeout rate plummeted, and his ERA ballooned to 7.53 over 7 starts, which was attributed to fatigue from moving up to a third level of the minors in his first professional season. When similar struggles persisted in the first 3 months of 2025, alarm bells began to ring. Sproat fell off top 100 prospect list and was surpassed internally by Nolan Lightning McLean, and Jonah Tom. In his first 15 starts of 2025, Sproat recorded a 5.95 ERA, striking out just 15.5% of batters, one of the lowest rates among qualified AAA starters. His once dominant four seam fastball, sitting between 96 and 98 miles per hour, lacked the vertical break needed to elude hitters, resulting in a 336 expected weighted on base average and a 14% whiff rate. His secondary pitches also performed. His slider produced only a 13.3% whiff rate. Although his sweeper, changeup, and curveball were closer to league average, none emerged as effective put away pitches, leading to declines in his whiff and chase numbers. Um, Everything changed in late June. In his final start of the month, he tossed 6 scoreless innings with 6 strikeouts, signaling a turnaround. From June 28th to July 31st, Sproat allowed only 2 earned runs in 33 innings, good for a 0.55 ERA with 39 strikeouts and just 16 hits allowed. His velocity surged across the board. His four seam fastball averaged 97.3 miles per hour during that stretch, significantly up from 95.9 miles per hour earlier in the season. Notably, 81% of his four seamers and sinkers during that 6 start run registered at 97 miles per hour or higher, compared to just 17% beforehand. His changeup became his most effective secondary pitch, generating the highest whiff percentage in his arsenal and limiting damage to contact. His curveball usage increased from 4% to 12%, becoming a viable chase pitch, while the sweeper improved as well, holding hitters to a mere 0. Excuse me, 0.069 quality of contact mark when put in play. The sinker, which had become his second most used pitch earlier in the season, remained effective in inducing weak ground balls. Added with the velocity boost, enhancing his entire repertoire, Sproat's strikeout rate surged to 31.2%, aligning with his previous dominance in high A and double A. Sproat's 2025 season has truly been a tale of two halves. He posted a 6.69 ERA in his first 9 AAA starts before May 20th, but rebounded with a 3.19 ERA over his last 17 appearances. Excluding a 7-run relief outing on August 24th, he remained a 2.78 ERA across 16 starts since May 25th. This period included a standout performance on August 30th, where he struck out 9 over 7 scoreless innings against Scranton Wilkes Barre. While there have been some bumps, such as a 3-run start to begin August and a 5-run outing later that month. Um, The underlying metrics indicate that his performance is much closer to the version that excelled in July than the one that struggled in April and May. The key for Sproat now is consistency, maintaining a velocity of 97 miles per hour or higher, effective effectively utilizing his changeup and avoiding lapses in command. End quote. Yeah, look, it was good to see him throw the ball the way he did yesterday. Mets manager Carlos Mendoza said after Sproat's most recent gem with Syracuse. I think it was one of those where it's like, all right, here I am too, and we're watching. We're watching. On Sunday, Sproat will finally get his chance to prove himself in the majors, taking the mound on a week's rest in Cincinnati against a Reds team that is chasing the Mets in the wild card race. With a fastball that can touch triple digits, a sharpened changeup, and multiple usable breaking balls. The version of Sproat the Mets have seen since late June looks to be a top 100 talent once again, and possibly a staple in New York's rotation moving forward. So, this is a little bit of a recap right here. This is a little bit of a recap. All right. So, on to the free agents. On to the free agents. Let's get to the free agents right here because nearly 2 months into Major League Baseball free agency period, plenty of elite talent remains, though the overall depth available has been significantly hollowed out. Most significantly, a run on relievers, often the last class of players to come off the board, has left clubs scrambling to fill uh, the key roles in their bullpen, even as shelf sluggers like Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette remain very much available. Who's left? Who's left on the free agency market? USA Today Sports ranks the top remaining free agents and breaks down who's already signed. So, all right. So, number one, Kyle Tucker, age 29, outfielder for the Cubs. He brings not the intentional superstar vibes that top free agents Juan Soto and Shohei Ohtani took to the market in previous winters. He's also never hit more than 30 homers in a season. He did it twice and was limited to 78 and 136 games by injury the pa- by by injury the past two seasons. Yet he's the one legitimate aircraft carrier in this class and will benefit from a likely bi-coastal bidding war. Number two, Bo Bichette, second, age 28, shortstop for the Blue Jays. Bichette's sterling World Series performance on essentially one leg spoke to both his grit and significant skill set. Posted a 311, 357, 483 line before getting hurt. And if he's better suited to play second base in the future, consider that he's hitting the market 2 years earlier than Marcus Simeon for the Mets, and that worked out okay for Texas. Framber Valdez, not sure if he'll sniff the max free rent district for lefty starter, but it never hurts when you are literally one of two on the market. Valdez is consistently right around 200 innings, has a championship pedigree, and surpasses the home run ball. Not an ideal conclusion to his Houston era, but it's also easy enough to hand him the ball and set your alarm clock for September. Number four, Cody Bellinger. Um, 30 years old, outfielder. Hold on. Is he 30? Is he 32? Is he 32? Wait, hold on. Hold on. Let's take a look at his age, man. Hold on. Let me make sure I got this right. Let me see I got this right. Um, how old is he? How old is he? Yeah, he's 30. He's 30. I was right. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, age 30, outfielder, first baseman. Um, Bellinger topped the 150 game mark for the first time since 2019 and had an excellent season his 1 year in the Bronx, producing 5.1 WAR, hitting 29 homers, and playing typically sound defense. Given his health history, there will be some risk wagering on a Hale Bellinger for the next 5+ years, but his overall skill set will be difficult to ignore. Number five, Zach Gallen. Age 30, right-handed pitcher for the Diamondbacks. He led the NFL, excuse me. He led the NL in whip 0.94 0.91 um and the majors in fewest hits per nine, 5.9 in 2022, but regressed to 1.26 and 8.3 out of 8.1 the two past seasons. He was much better once the trade deadline passed, posting a 3.32 ERA in his last 11 starts. Number six, Ranger Suarez, also age 30, left-handed pitcher. If you have designs on making a playoff run, Suarez can be an invaluable cog. He's never approached 200 innings as a starter and doesn't miss bats the way they like nowadays. Yet in 11 postseason appearances, he's posted a 1.48 ERA and 1.06 whip while serving as starter, bulk guy, and anything else. Number seven, Lucas Giolito, age 31, right-handed pitcher. Um, Giolito finally turned the page on a pair of injury-ravaged seasons to make 26 starts and post a 3.41 ERA, enough to comfortably decline his $19 million player option. Giolito completed at least 6 innings in 15 of his 26 starts, though his he missed a playoff outing with elbow soreness. Number eight, Eugenio Suarez, age 34, third base. 49 home runs at age 40, 49 home runs at age 34. What kind of price do you put on that? Suarez is a free agent for the first time in his career, is about to find out. Suitors know what they are getting. Punishing power, a ton of strikeouts, suboptimal defense at third, but off the charts on the clubhouse of affability index. Number nine, former Met Chris Bassett, age 37, a little high for the reliable righty. Well, consider that there are so few Chris Bassets out there, And this one just completed a 3-year, $63 million deal with numbing consistency. 32 starts a year, a 3.89 ERA, nearly 6 innings per start. He topped that off with a selfless stint in the playoff bullpen, where he gave up one earned run in 7 appearances. Number 10, another former Met, Max Scherzer, who's also with the Blue Jays right now. He indicated after World Series Game 7 that he hadn't thrown his final pitch. And he posted often enough in 2025 that the standard 1 year, $15.5 million deal should still be waiting for him. Number 11, Justin Verlander. Those videos of Verlander and Scherzer playing bridge in the nursing home are gonna be wild 40 or so years from now. For now, though, they've got innings in their arms, and for Verlander's sake, hopefully he can find a home that's both pitcher friendly but also not totally lacking in run support. His 3.85 ERA resulted in a 4.11 record as he sits on 266 wins. JT Realmuto, what's going what's the what's the going rate for a highly skilled glue guy these days? Realmuto has been integral to the Phillies' success in recent years, but he's now a decade into a career as a big league catcher. His OPS and adjusted OPS sagged to career worst marks of 791 last season, even as he caught a minor league high 132 games. Seems likely player and team will find a price agreeable to both. Number 13, Luis Arias, second baseman, infielder, DH. Let the Arias Rorschach test begin. Do you see a singles hitter with a leverage average OPS, or a magician with elite bat to ball skills? Excuse me. A 3-time batting champion with 3 teams, or a guy who can never justify his lack of slug despite all those one baggers. Be interesting to see what the market thinks. The Mets are not going to get this guy. Number 14, Nick Martinez, age 35, right-handed pitcher for the Reds, more invaluable than his peripherals indicate. Martinez took the ball 82 times over 2 years in Cincy, including 42 starts and a mass 6.3 WAR and a steady 3.83 ERA. Jose Quintana, former Met with the Brewers right now. Can we at least spare this man the indignity of nosing around for a job in March? It's not promising. Number 16, Paul Goldschmidt, age 38. First base. Until further notice, he remains a decent right-handed platoon option at first. The Yankees eminently pleased at the 1.2 WAR and clubhouse gravitas he provided. Harrison Bader, the number 17, Harrison Bader, the man simply seemed to get better and more valuable with age. He received $6.25 million from Minnesota last year, and after a July trade to Philadelphia, was perhaps their most valuable player down the stretch. Number 18, Rhys Hoskins, age 33, first baseman and DH for the Brewers. A bumpy couple of years in Milwaukee where injuries and the emergence of Andrew Vaughn cut Hoskins out of the fun this past season. He struck out more than once per game as a Brewer, but did salvage league average OPS thanks to his power. Number 19, Zach Littell, age 30, right-handed pitcher. Littell completed the transition from swingman to full-fledged starter the past two seasons and this year reached 186 and two-third innings with Tampa Bay and Cincinnati. Just 130 strikeouts might give suitors pause to believe he can repeat it, but Littell has proven himself as a reliable innings eater. Number 20, Sir Anthony Dominguez, age 31, right-handed pitcher, durable and relatively, sorry for the butcher. Relatively dependable. Dominguez cut his home runs per 9.5 this year, 1.5 to 0.7, and landed a high leverage spot in the playoff bullpen after a trade to Toronto. All right, number 21, Tomoyuki Sugano, age 36, right-handed pitcher. A tale of 3 seasons for Sugano, who started strongly, faded badly, and then made a mini comeback to land almost exactly on the definition of quality start. A 10 for 10 record and 4.64 ERA probably did enough to land another job stateside in 2026. Number 22, former Met, who's also a Dodger, Michael Conforto, age 33. Will that beautiful left-handed swing again prove irresistible to a suitor? The Dodgers gambled $17 million that they could turn him into a weapon, and he batted 199 and did not make the playoff roster. And number 23, Marcell Ozuna, DH, age 35. Last call for the full-time DH. The Braves couldn't get rid of Ozuna at the trade deadline, and now he'll take his 21 homers to the market, hit 40 and 49 homers in 2023 to 24, finishing fourth in NL MVP voting in 2024. Isaiah Kinder Falefa, age 31, infielder. Simple though his role may be. There's simply not many IKFs out there. Tasked with catching the ball, running the bases well, and possessing the ability to fill in anywhere on the infield. Austin Hayes. I've been hearing about this hype about this guy. Cincy was a solid fit for Hayes, who smacked 15 homers in 380 at bats, still adept in a right-handed platoon role. Number 26, Patrick Corbin, age 36, left-handed pitcher, can still eat innings, 155 of them in 2025, and now with a little less pain as he shaved his ERA from 5.62 his final year in Washington to 4.40 in Texas. Number 27, also another former Met, also a Philly, David Robertson. Used to be only Roger Clemens could get away with chilling out for a few months and then hopping aboard a playoff train. Robertson did so to some success in Philly. Will he be up for the long haul next spring? Number 28, Tommy Conley. Age 36 right-handed pitcher, leaving New York where he posted a 2.38 ERA his past two seasons was tricky for Conley, whose 4.43 ERA was his worst since 2018. Number 29, Daniel Colombe, age 36, left-handed pitcher, was better before he got caught up in the Twins fire sale. 1.16 ERA in Minnesota, 5.25 in 15 appearances in Texas, but on balance remains one of the most reliable and versatile lefty relief options available. Number 30, Jacob Junis, age 33, right-handed pitcher. All he does is get outs, though the itinerant swingman did see some whip inflation, 1.230 this past season. Walker Buehler, number 31, Walker Buehler, age 31. The arm is too good to give up on, even if the Red Sox had little choice but to do so after posting a 5.45 ERA and 5.89 FIP FIP in 22 starts there. He fared a little better in a two-start look see with Philadelphia, but he'll clearly be in a short-term incentive laden situation in 2025. Number 32, John Gray, age 34. His 2025 was a wash as a fractured wrist in spring training and shoulder neuritis limited him to 6 appearances. Number 33, Tyler Anderson. Tyler Anderson, age 33, left-handed pitcher, seemed like a quick 3 years in Anaheim, mercifully, where Anderson posted a good year, not so good, and a so-so season. He's coming off the last of those, the biggest bugaboo, a career worst 1.8 homers per 9. Oh, boy. Let's see. Yeah, number 34, Miles Meticulous, age 37, right-handed pitcher. A bit of will he or won't he involve with Michaelis, who may retire, though he's never one to leave any innings on the table. Last year, he ate up 156 and 1/3 of them with a 4.84 ERA. Number 5, Victor Caratini, age 32, fairly deluxe backup catcher with a league average OPS, 12 homers, and well regarded behind the plate. Number 36, Miguel Andujar, age 30, infielder. A nifty revival for the 2018 Rookie of the Year runner up as he posted in 822 OPS with the A's and Reds and positions himself as a versatile righty platoon bat going forward. Number 17, Justin Wilson, age 38, left-handed pitcher, about as close to a loogie as one can get in this 3-batter minimum era, as Wilson tossed 48 and 1/3 innings in 61 appearances, holding lefties to a 212 average. Number 38, Mitch Carver, age 35, catcher in DH. The bat continues to fade, but Garver did catch 43 games, backing up the big dumper in Seattle. Number 39, Scott Barlow, age 33, right-handed pitcher. A throw till you blow guy. And well, Barlow hasn't blown yet. His 75 appearances, always a value to a team needing innings. Number 40, Martin Perez, age 34, left-handed pitcher, declined to play a portion of his mutual option after a flexor strain limited him to 10 starts. Number 41, Starling Marte, age 37, for his 4 years of meritorious, if injury plagued, service in Flushing are over, but Marte should still retain some value as an extra outfielder. He's not coming back, man. Starling Marte's not coming back. Number 42, Andrew McCutchen, age 39, outfielder. He's not so sure about that open invitation to return to Pittsburgh, excuse me, but has indicated he'll run it back one more time somewhere in 2026. And Brent Suter, number 43, Brent Suter, age 36, left-handed pitcher. If only for the post-clinch dance moves. For real, though, Suter never pitched more than 3 2/3 innings last season, but appeared in 1 through 9 at some point, anytime, anywhere. Okay. Now, the free agents, let's see. Now, the ones that are signed right now, Alex Bregman is signed with the Cubs for 5 years, $175 million. And of course, Pete Alonso, which I talked about previously, is signed with the Orioles for 5 years, $155 million. Yeah. So there you go, right there. And of course, Josh Naylor, 5 years, $92.5 million with the Mariners. Merrill Kelly, 2 years, $40 million with the Diamondbacks. Let's see. Trent Grisham accepted $22.25 million qualifying offer from the Yankees. Let's see. I already talked about Edwin Diaz. Dylan Cease, 7 years, $210 million with the Blue Jays. And I think that's about it for. I think that's about it, though, man. And Ryan Helsley's with the Orioles, actually, as well. And let me see. So Luke Weaver is with the Mets as 2 years, $22 million with the Mets. Let's see. Let me see. So yeah, there you go, right there. These are the free agents that's out right now. Let's see. Let me see if I have anything else to talk about here. Let me check. Yeah. And I did see a report about Starling Marte thanking the fans for believing in him on AMNY so I'm not going to be able to get to it right away, actually. I'm not going to get to it right away, though. Let me get to, what is this? Okay, let me see. Let me see something here. Let me see. Wait a minute. Yeah, 13 players that got qualifying offers. Let me see if I have anything else to talk about. Yes, I did not get a chance to talk about Carson Benge in the previous episode, so I'm gonna actually circle back on that topic actually. So let's circle back. Let me see. Circle back. Let's circle back. Let's see. Let me see. All right. So speaking of Carson Benge, according to the New York Post, Carson Benge didn't arrive in AAA until last season, but the Mets think highly enough of the outfield prospect to consider him a possibility to begin 2026 in the major leagues. Asked Tuesday at the general manager's meetings to identify his center fielder for next season, president of baseball operations David Stearns mentioned veteran Tyrone Taylor and Benge. Carson Benge is going to come into spring training with a chance to make our team, and we'll see where the offseason takes us beyond that. Benge is 22. So I my fault about the age and stuff. At first I thought he was 21, but he's 22 now. So this year he's going to be 23. Gotcha. 23. Yeah. Benge, age 22, was the organization's first round pick in the 2024 draft pick. So oh wow. Hold on. Let me do a research on, see if I got the age right. Because let me see if I get this right. Let me see if I got this right. Carson Benge. Let me see if I got this age right though. Let me see. Let me see. Oh, he's 22. So he'll be 23. Okay. Wait, so his birthday is, oh, his birthday's in January, not February. I'm sorry. Yeah, January 20th. January 20th. Yeah, he was born in 2003. Okay. Let's see. Let's continue where I left off here. Yes. Okay. He spent most of last season at Double-A Binghamton before getting called up to Syracuse in August. In 24 games with Syracuse, he produced a 178, 272, and 311 slash line with three homers. Jet Williams is another highly regarded prospect with center field experience, but Stearns indicated Williams might be behind Benge in competing for a major league job to begin the season. I wouldn't close the door on anything Stearns said. I think we'll see where our roster stands. Stearns was asked how Benge's presence in the organization might affect the team might approach center field this offseason. And quote, it's part of a larger conversation, Stearns said. When you have good young players at the upper levels of the minor leagues, we have to find space for those players to play, excuse me. Carson is among them. He's not the only one, but he's among them. Korai Senga, despite his struggles to work deep into games last season, isn't considered a bullpen candidate, according to Stearns. He's proven at the major league level he can have really good years, Stearns said. The talent is there. The desire is certainly there to have a bounce back year, and we're going to give him every opportunity to do that. Stearns said he isn't approaching the offseason with a payroll figure as a consideration. The Mets had a $340 million payroll last season. Clearly, Steve is committed to supporting our baseball team in any way possible, Stearns said, referring to the team owner Steve Cohen. As opportunities arise, he and I are in regular contact as to what might make the most sense for the team. All right, so there you go right there. I want to do a rundown of the New York Knicks, actually. So let me get my tablet real quick. Okay. All right, I'm gonna do a rundown of the New York Knicks, actually. So I'm gonna go over it right now for you folks out there that's Knicks fans. Okay. Okay. So let's see. So this is today, actually. So yes. So Wednesday, January 14th, New York Knicks versus Sacramento Kings is going to be on MSG, followed by the New York Knicks versus Golden State Warriors Thursday, January 15th, 10 p.m. So both of these games are going to be at 10 p.m. All right. So, and Saturday, Phoenix Suns versus New York Knicks at 7:30, January 17th at 7:30 Eastern Time on MSG. The Dallas Mavericks versus the New York Knicks Monday, January 19th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC. Brooklyn Nets versus the New York Knicks Wednesday, January 21st, 7:30 p.m. on MSG. New York Knicks versus Philadelphia 76ers, Saturday, January 24th at 3 p.m. Eastern Time on MSG. Followed by Sacramento Kings versus New York Knicks, Tuesday, January 27th, 2026, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on MSG. New York Knicks versus Toronto Raptors, Wednesday, January 28th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on MSG. Portland Trailblazers versus New York Knicks, Friday, January 30th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on MSG. And let's see. Los Angeles Lakers versus the New York Knicks, Sunday, February 1st, 7 p.m. Eastern Time on NBC. New York Knicks versus Washington Wizards, Tuesday, February 3rd, Eastern Time on MSG. Denver Nuggets versus New York Knicks, Wednesday, February 4th, Eastern Time. Hang on. Hold on. Wednesday. Hang on. Yeah, Wednesday, February 4th. February 4th. Wait, hold on. Let me look this up real quick. February 4th. Okay. Let me see. Let me just see something here. Okay, we're looking for February 4th. And let's see. February 4th. Let me see. Let me see. Broadcast schedule. Right. February 4th. Hold on. Yeah, February 4th is going to be MSG. Gotham Sports app, and ESPN. Ooh, okay. Well, okay. Let me not forget that. Okay. February 4th, 7 p.m. Okay. February 14th. Okay, so, all right. All right, so New York Knicks. Wait, hold on. Wait. Yeah, I think it's on ESPN. Yeah, it might be on ESPN alongside with MSG Network. Okay, so All right. So New York Knicks versus Detroit Pistons, Friday, February 6th on Amazon Prime Video. New York Knicks versus Boston Celtics, Sunday, February 8th on ABC. Indiana Pacers versus New York Knicks, Tuesday, February 10th. February 10th. Let me see. No, 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 no. Okay, February 10th. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. We Gotham Sports. Hold on. Gotham Sports. Okay. Where was I? Where was I? Yes. Yes, Indiana Pacers versus New York Knicks, Tuesday, February 10th, Eastern Time on MSG. You can also watch on Gotham Sports, on the Gotham Sports app. Let's see. Okay, so there is yes, New York Knicks versus Philadelphia 76ers, Wednesday, February 11th on ESPN. And let's see. So Detroit Pistons versus New York Knicks, Thursday, February 19th, 7:30 p.m. on Amazon Prime Video. Oh wait, for February 11th, that's 7:30. 7:30. Okay. 7:30 p.m. 7:30 p.m. Okay. 7:30 p.m. All right. February 7:30 p.m. Okay, so Houston Rockets versus New York Knicks, Saturday, February 21st, 8:30 p.m. on ABC. New York Knicks versus Chicago Bulls, Sunday, February 22nd at 8 p.m. on MSG. New York Knicks versus Cleveland Cavaliers, Tuesday, February the 24th. New York Knicks versus Milwaukee Bucks, Friday, February 27th. All right. So there you go, right there. That was the rundown of the New York Knicks schedule for all you New York Knicks fans out there. This is like my way of giving you the rundown of the schedule of each team's the New York Knicks play against, and I'll have more next time. All right, so we're gonna wrap up here. Actually, yeah, we'll wrap up right now. Okay, we're gonna wrap up right here with this last segment right here, which is stream choices on the go. All right. This is where I give you this is where I actually remind y'all where you can follow the podcast and everything else in between. So there you go. Okay. Make sure you follow the Sports Edition Show platform Excellent, Fun, Vibrant Talks podcast on Facebook alongside with Blue Sky Social, Threads, and Instagram. The same goes for my other podcast shows that I do, which is Meticulous Vibes podcast, of course, the entertainment review show, and my comedy Off the Meat Rack Chains, New York Avenue podcast. And you can also follow your host with the most, G Money Stacks 555 in Queens, New York, on Threads and Instagram. The username is going to be the same as it is. It's going to be the same on Instagram as it is on Threads. All right. So there's no confusion. All right. Now, if you go to the link in bio where it says Linktree/Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks pod, you're gonna see a list of streaming platforms. You're gonna see a list of streaming podcast link feeds. All right. So I want to start off with this: Audible, Odyssey, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts. Don't forget to leave a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. It really helps me out. And of course, your feedback is important. And everything else. So Castbox FM, these are Listen Notes, Moon FM podcast, Overall FM podcast, Player FM, Pocket Cast, Pandora, Player FM, yes, Podo Polo, Podorama Podcast Index, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Podverse, Podcast Guru, Podcatcher, alongside with Podcast Republic. You can listen on Snip. You can also add the sports podcast to your Spotify playlist. All right. You can also listen on Spotify for creators, alongside with TuneIn Radio, Fountain, Good Pods, iHeartRadio, the number one app where you can listen to your favorite music artists, such as rappers, such as R&B singers, pop stars, and other music genres, your favorite AM and radio stations in the FM section, and you can listen to the podcast episodes for free. You don't need a credit card or debit card to download iHeartRadio. All you need to do is download iHeartRadio to your phones, such as your iPhones, Android phones. You have iPads, Android tablets, and of course, laptops are included, such as Apple Mac laptops, and of course, Dell laptop models, which includes Windows 10 and Windows 11. All right. So, and also don't forget to click on that subscribe button on the sports YouTube channel page of Excellent Fun Vibrant Talks podcast, and leave a like and a comment alongside with the sports topics. Let me know in the comments how you felt about the topics in today's episode or any previous episode that you missed. If you missed any episodes whatsoever, please feel free to check those episodes out. All right. You can also share the Linktree link with the audio stream platforms of the podcast feed links with your husbands, your wives, your boyfriends, girlfriends, people you're cool with from work, and alongside with your friends. All right. So yes. You can also share the videos that's uploaded to the YouTube channel page as well. You can also download the episodes. It could be your favorite episodes whatsoever. It really helps me out too. And if you like the sports topics in each episode that you like whatsoever, whether it's today's episode or previous episodes, you're more than welcome to actually, leave a tip on my Cash App or my PayPal. Either one, either one, whichever you're comfortable with. It's optional. So no pressure. And you can also subscribe to my other YouTube channel pages, which is Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast, my entertainment review show, and of course my comedy G Money Stacks 555 for all of Off the Meat Rack Chains New York Avenue podcast episodes. In case you miss any of them whatsoever, um, in case you miss any of the episodes, don't worry. All right. So there you go, right there. I'm about to be out of here, man. I'm about to be out of here. Let me check out who sent me a message here, man. Hold on. Let me check this out. Let me give a shout out real quick to the homie B Live, man, for checking up on me when I fainted yesterday. Right now I'm resting and stuff, so shouts to you, B Live. All right. So there you go, right there. There you go, right there. Let me do this. Okay. I'm about to get up out of here, man. I'm signing off. That's gonna do it for me. I'm your man G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator. And I'd like to say thank you very much to everyone who tuned in, everyone who actually got the chance to listen to the episodes, and thank you to Be Live for actually, reaching out to see how I was feeling health wise when I fainted. I appreciate that. Whatsoever. And remember, the grind doesn't stop. Hard work pays off. If you want something, you have to work hard and earn it. It's not going to be given to you on a fucking silver platter. And follow your niche, man. If you love podcasting the way everybody does, including myself, and it's fun, go ahead and do it. But the most important things that I should say is to be yourself behind the microphone as you are recording your podcast topics and through each episode whatsoever. And also consistency is key. Be on your P's and Q's creatively, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. That gets you into your zone alongside with tunnel vision. All right. And yeah, man. And also I forgot to mention, I didn't include this in the episode description. I found out through a little research that that Super Bowl 60 is going to take place on February the 8th on NBC. It's going to be a halftime Super Bowl 60 performance by Bad Bunny. For all you Latinos out there, especially Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, and all that great stuff. If you're looking for a music performance that's happening on February 8th, that's a Sunday. It's going to take place on NBC. Also, if you like more sports, you can check out Figgy, aka Nelson Figueroa, aka Figgy, and Simone Eli weeknights at 11 p.m. Monday through Friday on Pix 11. All right. They give their take and analysis on each sport, whether it's hockey, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, and what's going on with the off seasons between the Yankees and New York Mets. There hasn't really been much whatsoever. So there you go, right there, man. Yeah, be sure to check out New York Nightcap with Nelson Figueroa, aka Figgy, alongside with Simone Eli. Weeknights at 11 on Pix 11. All right, there you go, right there, man. I'm out of here. Peace and one love. Stay tuned for more new. Stay tuned for more new topics in sports next time in the next episode. Peace and one love. I'll see y'all next time on the flip side. Peace and one love. Good night, everybody.